Good day, Sir Philip. This is Cyril Calo explaining our client server application. So the difference from our previous iteration is idungagan ng gyud og RSA algorithm, which is encryption and decryption. This allows for any listeners to not get a clear view of unsa ang gistorya from between the client and server. To start explaining, ari ko magsugod sa server file and explain each function. So the first function nga makita nimo is ang receive message function. So kani siya it will continuously listen for incoming data from the client. So mo ning basic trabaho sa server, mag listen lang gyud and mag decrypt, which I will explain later. This function would demonstrate the RSA process. It will print out the encrypted hex, ang pipili ang number system kay hex, and the decrypted plain text. The next function is the send message function. What this would do is it would let the server operator type and send messages to the client. So both server and client can send and receive messages. Unlike the client though, the server's outgoing messages are not encrypted because trabaho na sa client nga mag-encrypt. And the last function for this server file is the listen connection, where it would set up the server socket and waits for the client connection. This is where the RSA handshake begins. So ining primerong run aning client og server file, mag handshake na sila. Now to the client file. The first function is the receiver sock. It would run in the background to continuously listen for messages from the server. So similar ni sa primerong function ganiha sa server. This ensures that the client can receive messages asynchronously while still typing. So dili ka kini maghinuwatay sila nga mag-send yung message, so it can send and receive at any time, bahala ga type pa ni siya. The next and the last function sa client is the main loop. It would orchestrate the client's behavior, and this is where the RSA encryption happens here on the client side here. To dive deeper in the RSA in our code, ni add taog kani nga imports. So mathematically, kote gyud ang pag step sa RSA. So some first step is to generate a key. It would choose two primes P and Q, compute n, which is equal to P times Q. It will then compute 5n, which is equal to P minus 1 times Q minus 1. And then choose E such that the greatest common denominator of E and phi of n is equal to 1. After which it would compute D such that D times E would be congregate to 1 modulo phi of n. After this, you would have your public key E of A and N, and your private key D of N. So in our code, kato tanan ang gisulti na buhat diri. In the encryption, so sumotong decryption here sa server. So encryption here in the client side, mathematically, C is equal to M8 mod N, where M is the plain text message as a number, C is the ciphertext, and it would utilize our public key E of N. Back to the decryption here in our server side. Ang mathematical formula ani kay M equals C to the D times mod N, where again C is the ciphertext, D is the private exponent. So that would be all for the explanation of the RSA and the functions in the code. Let's now proceed to an example. So as previously mentioned, if mo send ang server og file as is ra ang ma-receive sa client. For example, let's say test. The client would receive the message as is. Kaya wala may encryption function ang server. But here in the client, if mo send og message si client, let's say Cyril, it will receive, the server having a decryption function would receive First, I made it so nga maka-receive siya sa encrypted message here in the hex format. And then after, it would encrypt and decrypt the message as how the client intended to send it. So that would be all. Thank you and have a good day, sir.